I don't really have to worry about my education being changed because I am dating guys.
That lad was one of the many students that potentially outed themselves because they believed the church had softened their position on gay dating. It only took them 2 weeks to be proven wrong. On the 19th of February 2020, BYU, the Mormon Church's university, made changes to its Honor Code. Now, the Honor Code is a document that lays out the standards of conduct for students attending Brigham Young University, BYU. It includes things like dress and grooming standards and encourages students to represent the Saviour Jesus Christ and dress in a way that would cover the temple garment, be neat and clean, sloppy over casual, ragged or extreme clothing is not acceptable, and students are also told that men's hair should be neatly trimmed, men should be clean shaven. The Honor Code also covers dating conduct. Up until February 2020, the Honor Code had said, homosexual behaviour is inappropriate and violates the Honor Code. Homosexual behaviour includes not only sexual relations between members of the same sex, but all forms of physical intimacy that give expression to homosexual feelings. But then, on the 19th of February 2020, that section was just taken out. No explanation for its removal, no note, car gone, nothing. And so people like Danny started to come out and openly date. They saw the removal of the prohibitive language, if not as explicit permission, then certainly as tolerance for open romance. And in the complete absence of any instructions to the contrary, can you really blame them? Especially when we consider these two things. First, the church, whenever it changes, rarely makes reference to how things used to be, and certainly never gives an apology. And second, we have to look at how Latter-day Saints themselves interact with these sorts of rules and restrictions. So before we go on with the consequences of this change and the rest of the story, I want to discuss what the reaction of many of the students says about Latter-day Saints more broadly. There are, clearly, many Latter-day Saints who are primed and ready to do things the church does not currently allow. That is to say, it seems that for many members of the church, the rules of the church are indeed restrictions that run contrary to, or at least not in alignment with, their own individual value structures or desires. Why did I choose to start filming outside in the middle of winter, climbing up muddy slopes? Dearie me. Put another way, many members will often say in defense of things like not having tattoos, your body is a temple. Why would you put graffiti on it? And it doesn't take much internet searching to find out where they might have got that idea from.
President Hinckley has warned you not to decorate your body with pictures or symbols that will never wash off, or to pierce your body with rings or jewelry after the manner of the world. You would not paint a temple with dark pictures or symbols or graffiti or even initials. Do not do so with your body.
However, in reality, what we see is once the church stops explicitly forbidding something, lots of members will embrace this new freedom to act differently, even if they were once saying they never felt their freedom was being infringed upon, or if they were able to justify that restriction. Let's take a look at the recent changes to temple garments. The BYU standards for dress reflect the generally understood definition of modesty within the LDS Church. Dressing in a way that would cover the temple garment is a good guideline whether or not one has been endowed. Garments for women had capped sleeves, and so women had to cover their shoulders. Men's garments had more full sleeves, like this t-shirt, so the shoulders again had to be covered. And the moment garments stopped covering the shoulders, women in particular stopped covering their shoulders altogether. They queued around the block for that new style. And we can also go back to tattoos. The church published a guide called For the Strength of Youth. Its latest edition is provided as a resource for the BYU Honor Code. What is the wind doing to my hair? Jeez. Before 2022, the pamphlet expressly forbade tattoos. Do not disfigure yourself with tattoos or body piercings. In the October 2022 General Conference, Dieter F. Uchtdorf announced a new pamphlet.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has prepared a new resource, a revised version of For the Strength of Youth. For over 50 years, For the Strength of Youth has been a guide for generations of Latter-day Saints youth. I always keep a copy in my pocket, close to my heart, and I share it with people who are curious about our standards. It has been updated and refreshed to better cope with the challenges and temptations of our day.
Glaringly omitted was the prohibition on tattoos. And so what did we start to see? Well, anecdotally, I know many members of the church have started to get the tattoos they've been wanting but felt they couldn't have. These changes and omissions aren't always permanent. In 2023, the church brought back the explicit prohibition of same-sex romantic behaviour. And so it's not beyond the realms of possibility that when the next edition of For the Strength of Youth comes out, they could bring back the explicit prohibition of tattoos. And then what are the members who went out and got tattoos going to do? How will they justify that to themselves? How will they square that circle? Homosexual students started being openly romantic, as was permitted for heterosexual students, because it fits into the pattern of reactions that we've seen in other changes to church standards. And as we've also said, the church released no guidance about what these changes to the Honor Code meant. It took 2 weeks for the church to step in and say that same-sex romantic behaviour cannot lead to eternal marriage and is therefore not compatible with the principles in the Honor Code. They also said, lasting joy comes when we live the spirit as well as the letter of God's law. They seem to be saying, hey look, just because we stopped expressly forbidding it doesn't mean you can start doing it. The letter of the law is gone, but the spirit of the law remains. In the case that wasn't really clear, a Q&A was held with the Honor Code Office Director, Kevin Ott. Can members of our campus community who identify as LGBTQ or SSA be disciplined for going on a date, holding hands and kissing? Elder Johnson in his letter counsels, same-sex romantic behaviour cannot lead to eternal marriage and is therefore not compatible with the principles included in the Honor Code. Therefore, any same-sex romantic behaviour is a violation of the principles of the Honor Code. So it turns out that our friend Daniel,
I don't really have to worry about my education being changed.
Should be worried after all. And if anyone knows of any students who faced discipline or dismissal from BYU in the 2 weeks that it took for the church to pull their finger out and clarify things, then please let me know in the comments. But it remains unclear why the church removed the wording from the Honor Code other than some nonsense about creating a single standard for all CES institutions that is consistent with the recently released General Handbook of the Church. Why would they not want a prohibition of same-sex romantic behaviour included if it is the de facto position of the school anyway? Well, eventually, as I said earlier, the church brought back the language in 2023. And so this is what the Honor Code has said on this subject for the past 3 years. Live a chaste and virtuous life, including abstaining from sexual relations outside marriage between a man and a woman. Living a chaste and virtuous life also includes abstaining from same-sex romantic behaviour. So that new language is softer than what was removed in 2020, but what I don't understand is why the prohibition was ever fully removed at all. And the other thing I don't understand is why some of you aren't yet subscribed. Yes, I get it, we let the algorithm just give us videos, I'll keep popping up on your feed for a while, we don't feel the need to subscribe. I do it too. But if this is the third or fourth one of my videos you've watched, then you're clearly enjoying them, or you're really into the hate watch. Either way, the algorithm is fickle, and one day, I might just be completely gone from your feed. Unless of course you've subscribed by that point, in which case, I'll be there. Obviously. And while you eagerly await the next video now that you're subscribed, why don't you check out my Patreon for behind the scenes exclusives, or this video here which the YouTube algorithm seems to think you will enjoy very much. Oh, and if you'd like to go on a group trip together organised by the lovely people over at Trover, then there's a link in the description, check that out. Plenty of things for you to be doing, why not do one or all of them?